Greetings, YouTube. The other day I stumbled upon a map through Metafilter that I thought that the gaming community might find interesting. It is a most complete map of the Krubera cave system, which is some 8 miles deep. That's really deep. The world's longest deepest known cave system, and it would be just perfect for any GM to use as the foundation for a dungeon crawl, or even in a science fiction game for use as a large cave system that must be explored for whatever reason. The MacGuffin of the day is at the bottom of it, if you will. In the case of this, there's a deep insect. Maybe the crew has to go find a sample of it if you're going to play science fiction. And it got me thinking of a map that I used of a real place, and I used it in a slightly different than standard manner. It is a lake. It was a map of Lake Massabesic in Massabesic, New Hampshire. And what I did is I stumbled upon it. I think someone I knew went to the lake or something, and I got a map of it, a physical map of it, and I'll be linking to a map of the lake. It's not the map I used. I don't know what happened to the map I used. It was many years ago. And what I did is I took the lake itself, and I left the lake as a body of water, exactly as the map depicted. But instead of there being a shoreline, that was a sheer rock wall. And the lake was entirely underwater. So this is an Underdark adventure. And all the trails and roads that were around the lake were tunnels. So I just lifted a real-world map and placed it in the Underdark. And in this particular campaign, the player characters have been teleported through mishap into the Underdark. And it took them, I believe it was like 15 or 16 months of gameplay to get out of where they were to the surface. And they had to survive along the way. And it wasn't easy. And when they finally did find their way home, or they think they found their way home, there may have been some interdimensional rifts here and there. But they found their way pretty close to home. So by doing this, I was able to save myself all kinds of work of coming up with a natural-looking cavern with a natural-looking system of trails and roads, because they were already done. And straight ones, I left the straight ones straight. They were carved tunnels. They never figured out why they were carved tunnels, mind you, but they were carved tunnels. The natural trails were just natural caverns they'd found, pathways through the earth. Of course, they're a little wider than they would be in real life, because this is a fantasy game. You have people tromping down clear paths and things like that in dungeons, because real-world tunnels and cave systems are a lot less fun if you're going to be doing them with people in plate armor and things like that. So I bent reality a little bit here and there. I mean, they met interesting people and alien races and monsters, and had to eat very strange things because they had no other food supplies than what they could find. They got used to eating a lot of mushrooms, and one of the player characters came to really enjoy giant spiders. I actually had them roll a con save every time they ate something strange to see if they could eat it, and if they could eat it, did they like it? So they had acquired some interesting tastes along the way. So that's what how I used a real-world map in a dungeon setting, and the player characters never figured out that I was using a map from a place that they could have literally walked to if they'd felt really compelled to. They never figured it out, and I never told them, and it always kind of made me smile. A little inside information like that are the kind of things that warm the cockles of a GM's heart.